Welcome to Dependable Flame, where we explore vintage petrol lighters, ashtrays, tobacciana, and other useful mechanisms. Make yourself at home. Today we are going to clear the flint tube in this Warco flip-top petrol lighter. That was all I intended to do when I set out to make this video, but as you follow along here, you'll see we're going to get a little bit more involved than that. This lighter is typical in just about every way to any other insert style petrol lighter. I accidentally pulled the felt pad apart a while ago when I was taking it off of there. I almost did this off of camera, and then it dawned on me that, I'm probably going to get the question, how to repair a Warco flip-top petrol lighter. As you can see, that file wheel is spinning freely, and the flint spring is inserted as far up in there as it will go. There were some threads, some wadding residue or something that had gotten on the file wheel there. Put something white in the background, hoping you can see through there, but there really isn't much of a gap on this particular lighter between that flint tube and the file wheel, so you can't really see much. But you can see that it is not, the flint spring is not reaching up in there like it should. If it was, then that file wheel would not be turning freely like it is. So we take a 3/32 drill bit. That is usually the biggest that you're going to want to put in there. You could start with a smaller one. I often do, especially if I stick the bigger one in there and it feels like it is concrete or rock in there. But you can always measure with your hand before you start, and then just give it a little pressure. Try not to shake things around too much, because you're going to be breaking that old degraded flint loose, and those particles and dust are going to contaminate whatever they come into contact with, especially your wadding, wick, the fabric type surfaces. So as you're working the drill bit inside of that tube, just be aware of what you got going on and where the flint dust is going to fall. So if you need to take time, as I did here, to clean off the drill bit, then take the time to do that so that you don't contaminate that wadding. I think I went at it 2 or 3 different times here, and you can see that the drill bit is now reaching up there and making contact with the file wheel. But there is still a pretty decent amount of the debris from the old degraded flint still in the tube. Now you can see it's dropping on out of there, and I'm going to go ahead and clean off the bit again. At this point is where I should have been paying a little bit more attention, because I was really concerned about keeping that wadding as white as possible, because I was still planning on listing this lighter as new. But here in a little bit you're going to see me fill this thing up with fuel, and at that point I didn't really have that option anymore. We'll go ahead and clean off the screw from any of the debris that might have been on it, and inspect our file wheel. One good thing about that flint seizing in the tube like it did was it had not come into contact. It did not seize in contact with the file wheel, and therefore the file wheel does not have old degraded flint caked into it like you run into a lot of times. We'll go ahead and get a new flint now dropped down into the tube, which we've got cleared out. Get our broken felt pad back in place. It's not all that important, but I like to keep them as complete as possible. And though I hadn't realized it yet at this point, even though this is not a new lighter right about now, at least in the way that I have always treated them, at that point then I went ahead a few moments later and started filling it with fuel. This is about the time that I realized making the video, oh, that's right, you weren't going to fill this up, you were going to sell this lighter as new. In my mind, once I have fueled the lighter, I can't sell that as new. Just like once I've struck the flint. Maybe I'm wrong about the flint thing. Maybe I ought to rethink that one. We got some starts and stops here for a minute as I was fueling it, and then I had to add some more, and we're going to end up with an explosive situation on our hands. And obviously you can see the fluid leaking out there all over the bottom of the work surface. And now you have already seen, if you are watching our daily videos, you saw the regular show and tell video for this lighter. And in fact, by the end of that video, this lighter was firing up no problem at all. But we're going to have some travails here as we try to get this thing to light after I got the work surface cleaned up. As I said, you can see it wants to light, but it is blowing that fuel out. We'll slow this video down so we can get a better look at it. And remember also from the show and tell video that we did for this lighter that you can always run the lighter up into the open air, and that will flood your windscreen area with air or oxygen and push that fuel out, enabling you to go ahead and light it. It is kind of cool though to see the little explosion that takes place when you're trying to light one of these. You see it one way with your naked eye, and then it's a whole other thing when you slow it down. There was still lighter fluid all over the outside of it, but as you know, it functions very well now. You've seen this lighter enough at this point to know how it behaves. You've seen it vapor locked. You've seen us cure it a vapor lock. You could purchase this lighter and use it and have no worries as to what you were getting yourselves into. Until next time.